Hello, can you all hear us? Yes, okay, nice to see you all. We have IT in here getting us all set up, so if you all would just give us a minute, he's finishing up and we'll get started. Nice to see you all this afternoon.
Go. That was huge. So no one should be able to hear. Should be.
All right,
Let
thank
me
you
know
so
if-
much.
Let me know if there's a problem.
We will phone a friend. We have IT problems. Okay. Have you let everyone?
There's people that aren't on the committee. Do you want me to let them in or? Trisha, Mark? Yeah, their name. Everyone from TTAC.
When we get to that item. Okay. All right, you guys hear us okay? I'm trying to project, so make sure you guys can hear us. So, good afternoon. My name is Elizabeth Mayer and I serve as the Assistant Commissioner for Academic and Health Affairs at the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. And it is my pleasure to welcome you all to the Texas Transfer Advisory Committee meeting. So this meeting is taking place via video conference and is also being broadcast via the internet. So before we begin, I just want to remind everyone to observe the following etiquette. So if you could please state your name before you speak. If you could mute, make sure you're muting your microphone when you're not speaking. And then, as always, keep background noise to a minimum. I feel like y'all are likely very aware of all of this since we've been doing this for the last couple of years. So before we move to the first agenda item, let me once again express my appreciation to each of the TTAC members. I know that you all are committed and to this important work. And I also appreciate the commitment of each of your institutions that you represent for supporting your time and efforts on this advisory committee. We know how busy you all are. It's the end of the semester, legislative session is going on. So I appreciate the commitment from each of you in attending and participating in the meeting. Thanks to your hard work and that of your colleagues who generously give of their time to serve on our field of study committees, we're making progress. So today's agenda is going to be focused on your consideration of 2 fields of study and action recommended to extending the rules for the implementation of the legacy fields of study. So, and I just want to let you know, so Melissa is here in person since we have a requirement that at least one TTAC member attend in person. So Dr. Melissa Becker is here with us today and she will be running the meeting, but our other co-chair, Dr. Laura Williamson, is also present and she will draw the short straw for the fall meeting and will be with us in person. So we are just training. I am going to now hand it over to Dr. Becker to run the meeting.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Good afternoon, everyone. Members, we will begin with a roll call to ensure that we have a quorum. When I call your name, please respond to confirm that you are here by simply saying here or present. This will also be an opportunity for all the members who are joining us via Zoom and welcome. Practice hitting your unmute button for discussion later on in the agenda. Okay, I'll start with the TTAC members representing our four-year universities. I'm Melissa Becker, Professor of Curriculum Instruction at Tarleton State, which you know. David Benz. Sarah Bowden.
Present.
Thank you. Susan East.
Present.
Thank you. Jorge Roa.
Present.
Thank you. Ann Gaylord.
Present.
Thank you. Mitzi Lauderdale.
Present.
Cindy Mejia.
Present.
Antonio Montoya. Gabriela Rodriguez Espino.
Here.
Laura Sines.
Here.
Vidaram Shiraman.
Here.
I've been practicing that. Okay, Alvin Johnson. Oh, now we're going to, these are ex officio non-voting members. Alvin Johnson. Jennifer Martinez. Okay, now I'll call the members of the TTAC representing our community colleges. Kelly Davis.
Present.
Gary Evans.
Present.
Deborah Fontenot.
Present.
Deborah. Andrea Pasquette.
Present.
Angelica Gomez. Norma Hatcher.
Present.
Max Gibbs. Max Hibbs, I'm sorry, Max. Thank you. Michelle McGee.
Present.
Catherine Orlevres. Orlevres.
Olivares. Present.
Thank you, Catherine. Edith Orozco.
Present.
Ryan Hempson. And Laura Williamson.
Present.
All right, and we have serving as ex officio non-voting members, Gracie Martinez and Evan Scott. Gracie Martinez. Evan Scott.
Present.
Thank you, Evan. All right, thank you, members. Please record in the summary notes that we have a quorum. Members, as Elizabeth said earlier, to ensure compliance with Texas meeting requirement and to ensure that we maintain a quorum, please keep your cameras turned on at all times during the meeting. All right, I would now like to move to the agenda item number 3, the adoption of summary notes. Do I have a motion to adopt the December 2nd, 2024 summary notes for the Texas Transfer Advisory Committee?
Laura Sines. I make a motion that we approve.
Thank you, Laura. Can I have let's see, Laura. And then can I have I'm sorry, this is stuff. Laura, are you 2-year or 4-year?
4.
Okay, could I have a 4-year university second?
Mitzi Lauderdale, Texas Tech, second.
Thank you. And now for our community college, could I have a motion?
This is Gary.
Motion to approve. Edith
Alright.
Orozco.
Edith, thank you. Second?
This is Gary Evans. I second.
Thank you, Gary. Okay, are there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is a presentation and possible action to recommend biology field of study curriculum. As a reminder, the field of study is use the alternative framework, and I'll turn things over to biology co-chairs.
It's Shantae and Catherine.
Hello, how is everybody doing? Can you all hear?
Yes.
All right, great. So thank you for taking the time to consider our recommendation. We went back to the committee and had some conversations. So if you remember, we had a discussion regarding math that was part of the recommendation, and we had statistics. And there was a concern about, hidden prerequisites and whether or not there was a better way to bring in math or a more utilized math that could go towards degree completion. So Kathy and I did do a deep dive into the requirements for math requirements for four-year institutions using the biology CIP code. And what we found was that where at one time it was the belief that statistics was what was needed, we'll say starting in 2022 when we initially looked at this, we saw that the data did not support that. We found that pre-calculus was a math that was more utilized in the general biology degree plan for four-year institutions. And so that is where we are today. We did remove statistics, and we now are introducing our recommendation to include pre-calculus. And this helps bring in a course that the students would most likely take anyway on their path to calculus that can be utilized towards the field of study. And essentially kind of removing or trying to reduce the amount of maths that the student will take on their way to calculus that are not utilized or incorporated into the field of study. So what you'll see today is the discipline-specific core curriculum courses that are going to include General Biology 1 for science majors, General Chemistry 1, and then Pre-Calculus Math as the core curriculum courses. From there, we would go to the next, which is going to be our Discipline Foundation courses. And this was the same. We did not change this, but as a reminder, what the 2-year and 4-year agreed would be very important to build up biology foundation, which is going to be General Biology 2 for science majors, Microbiology for science majors, General Chemistry 2, Organic Chemistry 1, and both college physics classes. Kathy, do you want to finish up with the directive?
Sure. This is Kathy Ryan. And for directive electives, since these are non-binding, we just chose to list a handful of courses that many four-year institutions either require their students to have or that are options for their students. So we have environmental biology, genetics, organic chemistry 2, calculus 1, environmental science, and we moved the elementary statistical methods, which had been part of the core, and moved that towards the directed electives. We feel that not only does this better serve the students, but in particular, switching this math out also directly fulfills the prerequisites for their chemistry and their physics courses that are required. So we think that this would set up the students very well for transfer to a four-year institution. Thank you.
Any questions? Okay.
So I have my hand up. I don't know, maybe you can see it.
Hi.
I just first want to say thank you very, very much for a deep dive into the math. I am very pleased with the change that you proposed, and I just want to say thank you for that work. And I have one question. Is there any thought about possibly moving the microbiology course to the non-binding section? And the only reason I say that is from my experience, there's some variation with genetics and microbiology as to whether that's at the 2000 level or the 3000 level. Otherwise, I feel like it's a perfect template for virtually every biology course, but I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that.
So general microbiology or microbiology for science majors. Well, first I'll start by talking about why we included it. We did have a very in-depth conversation about that very thing, right? Is it a 2000 level or 3000 level? Texas Common Course numbering system states that microbiology for science majors is the microbiology for science majors. It is that general microbiology. Now, we can't speak to universities and where they put it. That's between each university and THECB and, but it's a 200 level, 2000 level course according to ACGM. And so when we look at the outcomes are what we see are the consistency for that course. Now it's different for 2420, which we know is the microbiology for allied health, but are non-science majors. But this particular microbiology, when we have the discussion and we look at the outcomes, we find it is the microbiology that a biology major would take. And so that is why it is included. We did discuss whether or not it was with the four-year institutions that were part of that committee. Everyone agreed that they did not see any issue with that being accepted as the microbiology for science majors at their institutions. And so they felt very strongly or very comfortable with that being added into the Discipline Foundation course. So that's kind of where we are with that. But it has the same outcomes. And so it should be taught in the same manner.
If I can add for the 4-year perspective is we also thought that it was better that students take some biology their second year as opposed to no biology. That would happen otherwise, and that these 2 courses that we put in the discipline-specific courses is they would keep the students engaged with the biology. Now, I would suspect that if a 4-year institution looks at the outcomes in this common biology and their outcomes in their 3rd or 4th year course, the 3 or 3000, however your institution numbers them, if they were significantly different, is you would just have your students take that second microbiology course that would have the different learning outcomes if that was an issue. But we felt really strongly is that the students need to be engaged with biology in some form their second year before they come back into biology at the upper division level.
Thank you. That's very helpful. One last question. Why that one and not genetics? What is the distinguishing factor for one being in the foundation and the other being in the non-binding section?
Ran out of space. If it was up to us, they would both be there.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there other questions or discussion?
I just want to thank the 2 co-chairs and the committee. This was their 3rd round of this, and I appreciate all of the work that everybody put into this. And I think there was a really good discussion. And as we discussed in the subcommittee meeting, the field of study is not perfect for all students. And so we have tried to develop a recommendation that is going to be the best for most students. So I really just want to thank the 2 co-chairs who worked very hard and did work even outside of the committee meeting to get us into a good spot. So just want to thank you and the committee members for continuing your commitment to helping our students and developing the recommended field of study. So I just wanted to thank you all for your additional work on this.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, are there other questions or comments? Seeing none, we can entertain a motion from one of the 4-year universities to approve this biology field of study. Could I have a motion, please?
Sarah Bowden, I motion to approve.
Thank you, Sarah. Is there a second from the 4-year?
Second, Laura Science, UTRGB.
Thank you, Laura. Can I have a And please, from our two-year folks.
Debbie Fontenot, Alvin Community College.
Thank you, Debbie. Second, please.
I'll second Michelle McGehee from Blinn College.
Thank you, Michelle. All right, so we'll do a roll call vote. And this does, let's see, this does require a 2/3 majority of those present voting needed for the university representatives and community college representatives. So here goes the roll call. To recommend the proposed biology field of study to the commissioner for approval. Please respond yes or no. Melissa Becker, yes. David Benz? Sarah Bowden?
Yes.
Bowden, sorry. Susan McGee?
Yes.
Jorge Figueroa?
No.
Ann Gellert? Gellert?
Yes.
Yeah. Mitzi Lauderdale?
Yes.
Cindy Mahia?
Yes.
Alberto Toya? Gabrielle Rodriguez Espino?
Yes.
Laura Sines?
Yes.
And Veridam Sharia Raman?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, Kelly Davis,
Yes.
Gary Evans,
Yes.
Deborah Fontenot,
Yes.
Andrea Fusquet,
Yes.
and Helica Gomez Johnson. Norma Hatcher,
Yes.
Max Hibbs,
Yes.
Michelle McGee,
Yes.
Catherine Overia.
Olivares, yes.
Christ, thank you. Edith Orozco,
Yes.
Ryan Hasmith, Laurel Williamson.
Yes.
All right, thank you. The motion passes.
Yes.
Unanimous. Well, with one no.
Yes.
Okay, very good. All right, next on the agenda is a presentation and possible action to recommend the English field of study curriculum. The field of study is also used we also use the alternative framework. Okay, I'll turn things over to the English co-chairs, and you see that on your screen.
Good afternoon. My name is Anna Hallziger, and I am with Blinn College. So I would like to begin by thanking you all for developing the alternative framework that allowed us to reconvene and work on this field of study for English. When we had met initially, we had reached a complete impasse because the original framework for the field of study was not structured to allow a modern language requirement that almost all of the four-year schools have in their degree plans for English, and therefore we went nowhere after all of the meetings. So the alternative framework really allowed us more flexibility and solved that problem almost immediately. And so then we were just left to discuss the rest of the field of study. So I appreciate that. Within the field of study, we had very little trouble settling on the recommendations for the core curriculum courses because in the standard core, there are 6 credits required for composition, and everybody pretty much takes composition 1 and 2. Both of those courses are offered at all community colleges in Texas, and so we reached that consensus fairly straightforwardly. The requirements for the discipline foundation courses, however, was a little bit more contentious. This isn't because there was opposition to any one of these specific courses, but instead, unlike, say, for example, biology, where courses tend to be taken sequentially, that's not the case for most literature courses. So, for example, English 23-22 is not a prerequisite for 23-23. They can be taken independently of each other. And therefore, the one concern that sort of still remains with the committee is that we might actually be building too much of a foundation in sophomore level literature classes that most English majors wouldn't be experiencing at the four-year school. Most students would have a choice. And I think that the committee as a whole would have, in an ideal situation, liked to give students a choice. But our understanding of the field of study is not to say you can pick a Brit Lit or an American Lit, but instead to say, here are the specific rubrics that we recommend to build a solid foundation. And we do believe that these 6 courses would build a solid foundation for the students. We considered when we were developing this list, not only what would build the best foundation, but also what is offered at community colleges to make sure that students have access to the courses that are part of the field of study. So we have British Literature 1 and 2, American Literature 1 and 2, Technical and Business Writing, which supports students who are looking to go into business writing of any sort, including editing and so on, and World Literature 1. And then finally, our recommendation for the directed electives is to allow those 4-year schools to specify, if they have one, which again, almost all of them did, the modern language requirement. The one way that we did deviate from the template set out for us is that the recommendation from your committee, I believe, is that this be 12 hours maximum, but because many schools have a lab associated with the first year of the language requirements. So for example, instead of Spanish being 3 hours, many schools have Spanish 1411, 1412. We did ask that this be 6 to 14 hours as the recommendation, so that if a 4-year school asks for the full 14 hours, of lower level languages, they are able to include that in their directed electives. This part, though, we were able to reach a consensus on since it met the needs of those 4-year schools, and the very rare 4-year school that did not have a modern language as part of their English degree plan would be able to substitute other courses that are more appropriate for what they do require. So thank you very much.
Okay, do we have any questions or comments for this subcommittee?
Again, I just want to thank Anna and the English member subcommittee. This was, I don't know, I feel like we've been on this path a little bit, and the language was a really big barrier for them. And so last Friday, we talked through it and were able to develop this recommended fields of study. So thank you, Anna, for jumping in and for the committee's work on this. And I don't know if you all have any other questions for her.
Any questions or comments? Mitzi, do you have a question?
Yes, Mitzi Lauderdale, Texas Tech. Whenever I reached out to our department to understand the implications for one institution as an example, the feedback that I received was concern around the number of hours. I guess maybe we're set up differently than everyone else. I don't know. I would like to hear some feedback from other 4-year institutions. We only have 15 hours of English in lower division coursework. And so it's presenting a lot of challenges to maintain the integrity of the degree at Texas Tech, and would be curious to know what others are experiencing or any feedback that they're receiving, or the co-chairs. Did you discuss that in your working group?
We did discuss that. We had a couple of representatives from 4-year schools bring up that specific concern, one from Texas A&M specifically, and I don't remember the other. So we asked if we were able to sort of blend the two frameworks together and allow students those choices. And the guidance that we received suggested that we had to pick either the initial framework or the alternative framework, and that students that the premise of the field of study is that students are given clear rubrics. Because of that, our understanding of the alternative framework is that there needs to be 18 hours in that discipline foundation courses. And therefore, we have listed those 18 hours that we think would serve the best foundation. I think that the concern about students taking more sophomore level literature classes than would be typical for an English major was widely agreed upon. So I think that the question that you're asking was reflected in our discussion. The original framework, however, was not an option because of
The
the
language.
language barrier, which was a non-starter for all of the four-year schools. So while your concern was raised by a couple of four-year schools, the language barrier was the bigger issue. Without the modern languages, we weren't going to get anywhere with the field of study. So that's how we ended up with using the alternative framework.
Okay, thank you. And one second question that's a follow-up. I know historically we've had some votes that were at the end of each of y'all's discussions. Do we know what the votes were for the working groups? Am I
Yes.
remembering that correctly?
Yes,
Yes.
I think we had all 7. What was the final? Was it? I'm not pulling it up right now, but I think it was unanimously approved.
It was unanimously approved, and we were approximately half and half split between the community college representatives and four-year school representatives. But we did get a unanimous vote on this one.
Yes, it was 18 that were present at the meeting that voted, and it was approved by all of them. It was 10 universities and 8 community colleges.
Good questions. Thank you. Are there others? Okay, see no other questions or comments. I'll entertain a motion to approve this English field of study. Could I have a motion, please, from one of our four-year universities?
I motion to approve Laura Sines.
Thank you, Laura. Second from four-year?
Second, Sarah Bowden from UT Tyler.
Thank you, Sarah. I have a motion and a second from our two-year.
Motion to approve Andrea Foskett, Central Texas College.
Thank you, Andrea. And a second?
Max Hibbs, second.
Thank you, Max. All right, all those in favor? Oh, it's going to be a roll call again. Here we go. Melissa Becker. Either say yes or no, please. Melissa Becker, yes. Sarah Bowden?
Yes.
Susan DeGeese?
Yes.
Jorge Figueroa?
Yes.
Ann Gillard?
Yes.
Mitzi Lauderdale?
Yes.
Cindy Mejia?
Yes.
Gabrielle Rodriguez Espino?
Yes.
Laura Sines?
Yes.
Okay. Verdarman Shri-Raman.
Yes.
Thank you. Davis.
You should leave.
Okay, Kelly Davis, one more time.
Yes.
Gary Evans. Oh,
okay.
here she is. Thank you, Kelly. Okay, Gary Evans,
Yes.
Deborah Font.
Yes.
Thank you, Deborah. Andrea Foskett,
Yes.
Norma Hatcher,
Yes.
Max Gibbs,
Yes.
Michelle McKee,
Yes.
Catherine Olivares,
Yes.
Edith Orozco,
Yes.
Laura Williamson.
Yes.
All right, thank you. The motion passes and it was unanimous. Yes, it was unanimous. So thank you, guys. All right, next on the agenda is a presentation and possible action. Let's talk about our History BA Field of Study curriculum. The subcommittee is still working through this and will plan to present recommendations of the field of study at the fall TTAC meeting. But Alyssa.
Yeah, so they met, but they still have a couple of things to work out because they are also doing the alternative framework. Oh, Trini's on. Trini, you want to say anything, we're gonna meet again, but you can, I was not able to join that meeting, but Trini, we have you planning to go to the fall meeting, but I don't know if you wanna, some of the language, I think, we're talking about internally, and then, Trini, I don't know if you want to share about some of the discussion, since I know you're on there.
Okay. Just real quickly, we need to reassess our recommendation that we gave. Initially, there were some questions raised by Elizabeth and the co-chairs for the TTAC committee. Like most, I think, of the liberal arts, we're having issues with the modern language and how do we fit that in with a transfer. And so we think we might have found a solution, but we need to go through the process of voting that solution that seems to be able to streamline what we've been doing so far. So we plan to come back and meet and vote. We're pretty unanimous in looking at what is required or what we're going to require in the field of study, et cetera. It was just, we all understand the need to have some sort of modern language included within that. And I think Elizabeth has found a solution for that for us. So that's where we're at. We don't have anything to submit for consideration as far as voting on what we're proposing. Does that sum it up, Elizabeth?
Sure, and they're very close, so we anticipate having something in the fall, it's just a timing issue. But again, Trini, just want to thank you and the committee, and just for TTAC members, that may not be aware, these are typically 2 or 3 hour meetings, and when they're first meeting, it's 2 or 3 4-hour meetings, multiple days in a row. So, it is a very significant commitment from the people and the faculty, and they have to get, time away from their classes. So Trini, I just want to thank you again for co-chairing this, and we'll look forward to seeing you fall and getting that hopefully finalized for the BA in history. So the BS in history is already done. It's just this wrinkle of the modern languages for the BA. So we're super close. We just need to get everything finalized, and we'll bring this back to you all.
Yeah, I think this meeting is just going to probably take an hour for us to just talk about it and vote on it. I think that's how close we are.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for coming today too.
Yes, thank you for the.
Bye, everybody. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Okay, we will now turn the discussion about the expiring legacy fields of study. The board staff have provided related to the graduates of these field of studies, and the field of study that are being discussed and that you receive data are include architecture, chemical engineering, civil engineering, electrical engineering, Mexican American studies, and music. So based on the graduation data, there are the staff, these are the staff recommendations. Number 1, extend engineering field of study until a revised, potentially consolidated engineering field of study can be developed. Number 2, extend the music due to high enrollments and convene a subcommittee to revise the field of study. Number 3, extend architecture due to high enrollments and convene a subcommittee. And number 4, due to low community college enrollments and only 5 degrees awarded at the associate's level, 2021 to 2023, recommend not extending Mexican American studies. So would we?
Yeah, so just for some additional context. So based upon the rules, anything that has not been revised would expire on August 31st of 2025. So there are 7 specific disciplines: architecture, chemical engineering, civil engineering, electrical, mechanical, Mexican American studies, music. So today you just need to decide, do you want to move forward with all of them or some of them? We sent you all some data and giving you some insight of kind of like what has high enrollments, and kind of where the degrees are and that kind of thing. So it is up to you all to decide how you all would like to move forward. In addition to the data, you all were given, 4 or 5 different letters from various organizations supporting some of these disciplines. So now leave it open to you and having the discussion. I don't know if Laura wants. Laura, I don't know if you want to chime in on any of this, but this is just kind of open for discussion, and then we have to make some kind of decision just based upon the timing for the goals. Laura?
You put it very well. I think these are Again, we need to look at the degrees awarded, the enrollment in these programs, and consider whether we want to roll forward all or some. I know those with those high enrollment. I received some emails about music specifically, where there was concern, and they are very interested in keeping that legacy and then looking at it as we have done other fields of study, and also using the alternative structure.
Yeah. So I think the key to this too, Laurel, is that these all likely would use that alternative framework.
Yes.
Just because of the size of the semester credit hours. So now that we have two that have been done with this, that you all have voted on, we have somewhat of a framework about how to have those discussions. So yes, leave to you all how you all want to discuss this. Like I said, we pulled the data, and so you guys should have at least a line of sight in terms of where we are across the state with these various legacy fields of study.
All right, so what questions, comments, or discussions would you guys like to engage in right now?
Debbie,
Debbie?
Okay.
Yes, go
I don't
ahead,
know if
Debbie.
you can see us all or only
Yeah.
the ones that have been talking. So is the field of study in Mexican American studies, is that the only one with the low enrollment?
I think looking at the data that had the lowest enrollment, and I think that is the one that just isn't, from the data that we have, is not currently really being utilized.
Other questions or comments?
Mrs. Michelle McGehee, Blinn College. I would just like to comment that the folks who have submitted for architecture and for music field of study have submitted those letters, have done a lot of research, of course, into their own programs, and have provided a really great framework for us to use on how it impacts their specific programs. And it would behoove us to listen to them and what they're saying about their particular programs in terms of the program viability, transferability, the cooperation among 2 years and 4 year schools.
I would agree with that, and I think that many colleges and universities have already reached a sort of alternate strategy that will be very beneficial for the committees to look at if we decide to do that. Because again, we've done articulation agreements from institution to institution because of that need for the upside down degree, as I've called it, or the alternative structure. I just personally, I don't think there's any need for us to do the work on the Mexican American Studies degree because it is not in demand. And so if you are one of those institutions that has done the 5 degrees, you probably can keep that with, again, an institution to institution articulation degree. I'm not sure it requires a state level field of study.
Thank you, Laurel. Andrea, do you have your hand up?
Yes, ma'am. I have a question about the field of study for music. I have been receiving a lot of feedback about this field of study, a lot of interest and enthusiasm about extending this field of study for another additional year. I am of the mindset that I would love to support that, but could you provide some clarification? It's my understanding they've been working on this for a little while. Is there a subcommittee right now in place that's continuing to do the work, or is there something that needs to be convened for them to figure out a different structure?
Can you clarify which discipline you're talking about?
Music, field of study.
No, so the way that TTAC has been organized since it started is provide data to the group to determine which subcommittees to establish.
Right.
So the issue is we're trying to hit the most students, and so that's why we have done the current 12. So the point in question and how the rule was developed in 2021 was any field of study that hadn't been completed by August 31st of 2025 would then be abolished. We wouldn't be doing it anymore. So this discussion and your vote today is going to determine which of the legacy fields of ones should be put on the list, and we're going to extend the dates. And
That makes
so
sense.
no work has been done with music because we've been working on the other one. So once this committee probably comes back in the fall, we still have some historic ones that we're trying to finish in the spring, and we would then do the call for nominations after having a discussion with you in terms of like the order in which we should be doing these and things like that. But as of right now, none of the disciplines here have a subcommittee.
Thank you so much for that clarification of the process.
Yeah.
Thank you for that question. Anyone else? Question or concerns?
This is Catherine Olivares from Dallas College. Did I hear correctly that the recommendation was for engineering to create a consolidated engineering FOS?
So the idea would be, as of this point, they would establish a subcommittee for the individual ones. That has been a discussion point historically, and we would potentially do it in the future, but establish these subcommittees to see if they should be broken out this way.
Gotcha. Okay. I just wanted to make sure, because I know that there's, particularly with the different areas in engineering, there's some specific courses that might differ across
Right.
each one, right?
Right, and I think some people, Laurel, I don't know if you have any insight on that, because I know we've talked a little bit about that, but that has been a discussion to potentially do, but as a starting point, potentially just redo these as they are now.
I think there has been discussion about trying to ascertain if lower division set of courses could be identified that might be common across, with some flexibility there under directed electives and the other, flexibility that we have within our framework. So, but we know also, I think, to be honest, this will be a one that takes quite a bit of discussion to try to come to consensus on.
Additionally, my question is, because we're voting on to extend these, correct, until a committee can be convened to revise, would that then mean that they're according to the Texas Administrative Code, these particular ones wouldn't necessarily abide by that 25 date or even the spring 26 date as far as the acceptance from institutions in transfer? Does that then extend that?
Yeah, so what we're trying to do is we're going to change the date to give us more time to do the ones we want to do. But we want clarity from this committee about which ones of the 7 we want to make sure we're putting on the list, and which ones the committee thinks potentially should be let go because they're not being utilized and it's not a good use of, state resources to potentially develop them based upon enrollments and things like that. So that's the decision point for today.
So we're looking at extending engineering, music, and architecture field of study for 2 years.
So we would extend that, so architecture, all of the engineering ones, and then music. And then the idea would be only the one would be let go. And just as a caveat, establish the subcommittees, and then they may come back and say this may not work. Committing to doing the subcommittee work.
All right, other comments or questions?
Debbie from Alvin Community College. Are the subcommittees made up of this committee or from the subject matter experts?
So it's with faculty. So we do a call for nominations, and historically we've tried to have TTAC members on there. Sometimes it's worked out and sometimes it hasn't, but it's been helpful to have the TTAC members on there so they can hear the discussion. But I think that we do a call for nominations to all of our 4-year and 2-year institutions. And then we get an equal representation from the 4 and the 2-year. And then they come together and have basically this 2-day meeting to discuss which courses should be used. And then the co-chairs from that meeting, because the meeting is really run by the co-chairs, then come to the meeting as we've had today and present the recommendation.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want motions one at a time?
Yes, ma'am. So thank you, Elizabeth, for providing that context.
So,
Oh,
and so.
okay.
Do the
Debbie
motion.
Fontenot, Debbie
Okay.
Fontenot from Alvin Community College, to form a subcommittee for the music field of study.
So the motion needs to,
Let's do all of them.
yeah, so if you want to say, just to help move us along, the motion is,
Engineering.
to move forward with, engineering and architecture and music.
To extend that for 2 years.
For
Is
2
that,
years.
is that your motion, Debbie?
That is my motion.
Thank you, Debbie. Can I have a second from a 2-year
This is
college?
Gary Evans. I second.
Thank you. All right, can I have a motion from a 4-year?
And Gilliard, I move that we continue for 2 years.
And moves, and then Laura signs. Did you want a second? Thank
Yes.
you. All right, motion is made and seconded by our 2-year and 4-year universities. We'll do the roll call votes. You ready? Here we go. Melissa Becker, yes. Sarah Bowden,
Yes.
Susan DeGeese,
Yes.
Jorge Figueroa,
Yes.
Ann Gallard,
Yes.
Hugh Mitzi Lauderdale,
Yes.
Cindy Mejia,
Yes.
Gabrielle Rodriguez Espino.
Yes.
Oh, maybe not.
Is Alberto Montoya here?
Arturo Montoya, yes, I'm here.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, it's written incorrectly, but he came into the meeting.
I came
okay.
in, but I'm here.
Yes,
Thank you, Antonio.
sorry.
All right, we've got your name down. Thank you.
Okay, that's good.
All right, now let's see. I lost my place. I think
Gabriella.
Gabriela Rodriguez Espino, one more time.
Yes.
Thank you. Laura Signs.
Yes.
Thank you, Laura. Verdaman Drummond.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, let's go with Gary Evans.
Yes.
Deborah Fontenot.
Yes.
Is Kelly Davis here?
Yes.
Thank you, Kelly. Oh, did you vote yes, Kelly?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Andrea Fosquet.
Yes.
Gonna do Deborah Fontenot.
Did you do Deborah? Deborah?
Deborah Fontenot.
Yes.
Thank you, Deborah. All right, Norman Hatcher.
Yes.
Max Gibbs.
Yes.
Michelle McKee.
Yes.
And Catherine Oliveras. Oliveras.
Yes.
Getting close. Thank
Yes.
you. Edith Orozco
Yes.
and Laurel Williamson.
Yes.
Did I miss anyone? So that was,
Yes.
that passes unanimous. Very good, everybody.
So just to let you all know, so we are gonna work with general counsel to figure out how the language and the rule needs to be revised and updated. That will go out for public comment. I'm looking at Emma. June? And we'll try to send a note out so you guys are aware, so you guys can see it. We'll make a note. We have a lot of rules right now, so just, we're just trying to keep track. So we'll try to send you all a note and let you know when that goes out, so you all are aware. And thank you all for that work. And we have a lot more work to be doing with all these new subcommittees, but we'll move forward after we get the rules approved.
All right, let's move on to agenda item number 8. We're going to hear a brief presentation. regarding
Excuse
the
me.
Oh, yes.
Excuse me. Do you
Sure.
need a vote to not extend the Mexican American
It will
studies?
No, it will just
It'll
naturally
just-
expire.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Good
Okay,
question.
thank you.
Yes. Okay, now we're going to hear a brief presentation regarding the curricular mapping that has been done with the education fields of study. And I'll turn it over to Emma for a brief introduction.
Hi, everyone. So I worked on the education fields of study, which feels like a lifetime ago, but I think it was just last year. And in the North Texas region and the Dallas area, they've been doing some curricular mapping that aligns with those fields of study, with the districts, school districts, the community colleges, and the universities. And so I asked them to come and just do a brief presentation so you all could see the type of work that's being done. I know that they're wanting to expand it out to other disciplines as well in other regions. So we have Patricia Parker here, who is with Sova Consulting, and Joseph Reyes with Educate Texas. So I'm just going to turn it over to them just to give you a little bit of information about the work they're doing.
Great, thank you. And are we able to share, Emma, or will you be doing the slides?
You should be able to share. Let me just make sure.
Okay. Yeah, it seems that I can.
Okay, perfect.
Yes. Joseph, if you want to go ahead and start, and then I'll be here
See
right
your
behind you.
email.
Yeah, we see your
Oh,
email.
you see me? Well, please answer them all.
Help yourself.
Oh, yes. Okay, let me try again. I thought I picked the right screen there. Hold on just 1 second. The screen number 3. All right, how about now?
Cool, we're good. We go to slide
Okay.
1, just
Yep.
to introduce ourselves again and introduce the work. Good afternoon, y'all. I'm Joseph Reyes. I'm Deputy Director on Educate Texas's teaching and leading team. I've been with the organization for about 4 years now, primarily doing some work here in North Texas, but as our kind of portfolio of work grows, we intend to extend to other priority regions around the state, such as the Valley, El Paso, Austin, Houston, and kind of the monolithic thing that we call the rural regions of the state. So I am excited to be able to share some of the work that we've been able to accomplish here in the North Texas region with the help of Patricia and our friends across Dallas County on looking at our dual credit teacher pathway programs that exist in PTECs and early colleges, and start to figure out ways in which we can map these pathways from the community colleges all the way through to the bachelor's degree and the certification eventually. So as you see here, these are kind of the key core questions that we have started to dive into. You know, we needed to find ways in which to ensure that our partners were being aligned with the coordinating board and TEA. Look at the ways in which state dollars have been invested in the dual credit programs. Look into the evidence about how, you know, the ways in which these credits have been applied to degree completion or certification completion, and just starting to kind of map out what the challenges were for preparing students for the next set of their journey into teaching preparation. I have a puppy that is barking right next to me, so give me one.
Oh, he's back. So I'll jump in and told, oh, here he comes.
Yeah, I'm good. Sorry. He's just like nosing me in the elbow. So the way in which we've attempted to tackle this these big questions is through a community practice. So a few years ago, we started to convene around Dallas College. You know, I saw Catherine Olivares on the line. Dallas College is a new and burgeoning bachelor's in the education field, bachelor's of applied science in early childhood education through 3rd grade, 6th grade, if I'm not mistaken. And they came to us and the commit partnership at the time to try to figure out how do we bolster the existing dual credit programs to ensure that students were completing and getting to the right kind of next phase of their journey prior to them entering the rest of their schooling. And so that was the key core question. And then it started to expand to, you know, needing to look at the diversity of our educator workforce in North Texas, looking at ways in which local preparation programs writ large were attempting to improve and take advantage of the AAT, which is the Associates of Arts and Teaching, as I'm sure y'all are well aware of. And again, kind of motivating ourselves by the research as it relates to the signs of promise, you know, when digging into the ERC, but there's still high attrition in the pipeline. You know, we want to ensure that students are completing the AAT, that they are utilizing that to transfer into bachelor's programs because that still is the key indicator for a highly qualified teacher and entry into the educator workforce. One of the kind of overlying goals that we are starting to think about as we expanded to additional 4 universities, expanding to additional school districts that we are working with, is thinking about how do we ensure that there is a homegrown teacher workforce being developed that are going through high quality preparation programs with little to no added cost or time as a result of them completing the AAT. And I'll pass it over to Patricia to introduce herself and kind of how we've gone about our work.
Hi, everybody. Great to meet you. I'm Patricia Parker. I was a math faculty member in the Virginia education system for 28 years. And then I became the director of Transfer Virginia, where we did a lot of the work similar to what you all are trying to achieve through your transfer work. So since my retirement, I've been doing some consulting like this just to help different areas explore transfer opportunities. So the big thing that we did here is basically, I've been listening to your field of study conversations, and what this work did was bring together six or seven universities and a Dallas College as the 2-year entity, and then 5 or 6 ISDs, school districts that really wanted to look at how do we serve using the field of study as a foundation. How do we take that one step further so that we can best advise students how to be most prepared when they arrive at the bachelor receiving institution? This work takes on a very deep focus. The work of the Dallas region and teacher prep area took on quite a focus on the PTAC programs and how do we take what we know and align it with the PTAC program so that we can attract high school students into teacher prep programs. But it also aims at serving students earning an associate's degree in any fashion, whether it's post-high school graduation or not. So a couple of major ideas that we had to stay focused on is, number one, we had to make sure that in the end, we had a PTAC model where students could meet their high school graduation requirements. But regardless of if they were PTAC or not, we want to ensure that all students can complete the transfer core, finish the associate's degree, and be on track to the bachelor's programs. I've already mentioned that really at the center of what we did was to align with the field of study work. And then we wanted to also address any certification or licensure type of requirements that particular major required. So in the case of teacher certification, but if it were a different discipline, there are sometimes licensures required for students in other majors. We also wanted, and I heard somebody earlier say, maintain the integrity of the bachelor's program. And that's a critical piece of the work we're doing as well, is how do we help the students know what courses to take that will satisfy the multiple bachelor programs across a broad region, but maintain the integrity of those bachelor programs. So we had multiple layers that we started with to help us with those conversations. We went through about 7 major steps as we did this process. I'll just kind of highlight them. It's key that the institutions are committed to the work and value the work. I think the word value is even more important. We originally mapped the target pathway from the bachelor programs to the associate degree. A lot of that work is done right now, 1-to-1, one university to one community college, one university to one community college. What we did was bring together all of the regional higher ed institutes, the 6 or 7, and I've got a list I can show you in a minute. But we brought them together and did it collectively so that they were all agreeing on the mapping from the beginning. Once we had a baseline for that, we then made sure that we met the high school graduation requirements and gave enough grace and space within the associate's program to be able to align to choices that students have to take at the high school level. So we mapped out the first 60 credits to align with everything I just talked about. And then each transfer receiving institution, each bachelor program, and we're touching around between 30 and 40 actual majors or programs of study at the bachelor's level. They mapped out the remaining 60 credits before we even put a stamp on the first 60, because we wanted to make sure that the students could get this degree in 120 credits over the course of 4 years, that type of thing. And so we did a full mapping all the way through the bachelor's. And then we developed a 2-page transfer advising guide, which includes the pathway map for each university and their FAQ, which is a list of standard questions that the ISDs helped us identify as questions the students need answer to make informed decision. And then we're currently in the process of working out with the ISDs about how to communicate that out to their high school families. And we're working on establishing that length of time in which this pathway will be honored. So we're solidifying those things. I'm going to make a few more comments, then I'll let you take a sneak peek at what we're talking about and then open the floor to questions if the chairs feel that that would be appropriate. So the end results is that the students, their families, the guidance counselors at high schools, the community college advisors now have a document that serves their students for multiple bachelor receiving or granting institutions, multiple majors, one pathway that will prep the students, again, up to 30 to 40 majors across the 6-7 institutions. It also improves their line of preparation because it makes clear what's needed. And I keep going back to my example that we had some students taking zoology and one other science course that just wasn't going to help prepare the students in the teacher prep area that they needed. And so being transparent with those students really will help map that out. It also reduces the variability in student prep when they arrive at receiving institutions. And I'll share an example from my work in Virginia. And I heard you all talking about engineering earlier. One of our engineering schools in Virginia said, so what you're telling me is all the students I receive from the community colleges are all going to have this set of engineering prep courses. And so that means we can identify what's anything they might be missing. And we could do a little bridge program when they arrive and say, okay, community college students, we know you're missing this one little topic. So let us give that to you so that you're starting on a level playing field with those students that came as freshmen. So there's that it's helpful for the bachelor programs to know exactly what students are coming with reduced variability. And all of this work has really worked to make transparent the choices students make that might result in overage of credits and therefore reduces credit loss by helping make informed decisions. So let me show you. This is what we call the target pathway. And so we established it so this is just the 2-year version at this point. And up here are the list of colleges that have been our members. I am going to throw this in the chat just in case you want to click on it on your computer. But you can see the field of studies are in bold. I'll use as an example the sciences. So in teacher prep, programs need anywhere from 2 to 4 science classes, depending on the university. And there's a short list of those science classes that best benefit the students when they go to take the teacher certification exams, those core content exams. And so by giving the students as much choice as possible, knowing that all of those choices will help prepare them for their teacher prep program and the certification. And so this actually prescribes the 60 credits that students will take. So first the 42 core, and then we have our field of study discipline foundation. And the last thing I'll mention in detail is what we did with directed electives. So, each university had long list of all different directed electives they will accept. But what we were able to do in this area right here is give the students a short list of the directed electives that are really going to best serve them if they're preparing for teacher prep and are most needed in programs of study at the bachelor's level. And then when I show you what the students will see from the universities, it will tell them, hey, we are a university that needs a second or a third and a fourth science, or we're a university that needs you to have 2 semesters of Spanish. So the universities will say, hey, we really prefer A and B, but if you take any of these, they're going to work towards your program. We also, for the TTAC model, added in a statement that explained to families that if students choose to take other dual credit courses so that they can be an honor grad, so they can bump up their GPA, all those things, that those might result in overage of credits. However, at worst case, those are resulting in 6 credits of overage in this case, not 10, 20 credits of overage for those students. So this is what the core looks like. And then what the colleges are mapping, and we are working on a common template so that students can see, this is using an example of Dallas with UT Arlington, that you can see the associate's degree down the left side and the entire bachelor's degree down the right side. And in just a second, I'm happy to share this link as well. And then we have all of the FAQs that were asked of the institutions, given answers in student-friendly language. So that's kind of takes you through the gamut of how we started. And then we're still working on these, but this is how we hope to end up with a student-facing document. So I'm going to stop sharing, and Joseph and I certainly appreciate the time to share the work. We are excited that other disciplines are showing interest in doing this type of work. And Madam Chairs, turn back to you to see if you'd like us to take questions.
Okay, thank you, Patricia. Does anyone have a question for Patricia and Joseph right now?
And I did
All
just
right.
add the second link to the chat for those that were interested in that.
All right, well, thank you, Patricia and Joseph, and everyone, you have those links in the chat that you can go up and share with your folks, see what they think.
Thank you all so much.
Yes, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we have finished up. I just want to go over some next steps and then talk about some possible future agenda items. So just in terms of process, so the biology and the English fields of study will be posted for a 30-day public comment period. We will let you all know when that happens. After the 30-day public comment period ends, then it will then we'll survey the four-year institutions to collect their directed electives. And then after those directed electives are pulled together, we will then send it off to the commissioner for his final review and hopefully approval. So in terms of, so he will be making the final decision. And then, as I said earlier, for the legacy fields of study, we are planning to take the amendment for the rule packet to the July 2025 board meeting so that we meet that August 31st timeline. So we don't have any issues with that. I also wanted to share that we have actually hired an assistant director for transfer pathways, which we're very excited about. She will be starting in May. So over the summer, we're going to get her acclimated. We may have her reach out to you all to talk. So just wanted to let you know, we're very excited to have some support internally on this very important work. Wanted to also see if you all had any thoughts about any future agenda items or presentations you might want to see moving forward. We had a really nice presentation today, and happy to have an additional presentation you all may be interested in the future. Mitzi?
Hello, sorry to be a broken record on this one, but would love to hear any updates on transcripting.
Yes,
fields of
yes.
study.
So Mitzi, you'll be happy to know that is the first thing that the new transfer person is going to be working on.
Fantastic.
And
Thank you.
we actually have been also talking to our data team to figure out who the right folks are with the registrars and try to start that process, because I know that is a big thing that is frankly something that we have not had the bandwidth to do, but know that is important in moving forward. So we're excited to be having that individual who will be starting in May working on that, because I know that is something that you've mentioned and something that you have we have heard you and are gonna be able to hopefully on this.
I appreciate that so much. And it's just because we want to honor it. It's so hard
Yeah.
to honor it if it's
I
not
know,
transcripted
I know.
in a way that we can receive it.
Yeah, I completely understand. I completely understand.
Yeah, it was to repeat the information about the next steps for legacy fields of study.
Oh, okay. So for the fields of study, so they're approved by you all today, and we will be sending it out for public comment once we have to work with our attorneys. So they will post it in the Texas Register, and that will go out for a 30-day public comment period. We have had some that have had public comment, and what we do is we take it back to the co-chairs of the respective subcommittee and to your co-chairs, and they make a decision about whether we need to have further discussion. At this point, none of them have. And so those will be posted for a 30-day public comment period. Then the directed electives survey will go out to all of our four-year institutions. So we'll collect the four-year institutions directed electives, and the entire packet will then go to the commissioner for his final review and approval.
Can you talk about the legacy ones too?
The legacy. Okay, sorry. For the legacy fields of study, what we'll do is at the July, Emma and I are going to work with our general counsel to develop the language that we need to put in the rule. And then that will go to the July board meeting, but it will actually also go out for public comment as well before the July board meeting. So we're going to develop the language for the rule. It will go out for public comment, and it will go to the July board meeting. And we hope everything, there's no issues, and if everything goes as it should, the legacy fields of study, that date will get fixed, and we won't have any, the ones that you all agreed to will not expire. Any other questions? If you all think of other things that we should be discussing, let me know. Missy, I may put our new person in contact with you to talk about some of the discussion in terms of that transcripting issue.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Because we will likely need to have some kind of group talk through what that's gonna need to look like, so this may be another work group. But we'll let you know when we kind of decide how we want to move forward.
Any other questions about what we've done today or possible future agenda items from this group?
And if you all think of other things, you know, in a week, 2 weeks, maybe after they're over, please feel free to send those to me and we can work through carving out the appropriate time to have those presentations.
All right, very good. Well, thank you guys for taking time to join us today at the TTAC meeting. I'll now entertain a motion for adjournment.
No.
Motion to adjourn, Edith.
Edith, motion is made. Is there a second?
Second, Ann Gilliard.
Thank you. All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed by like sign? Then we are adjourned at 2:30. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so